The shuttle drifted through the silent dark, far beyond the known systems toward the edge of the galaxy where stars grew thin and cold. Inside, Lisa sat beside Zyra and Kayla, watching the endless black through the viewport. The distress call from the Rim colony had gone quiet days ago. No more signals. No more voices. Only static. That silence was worse than any scream. Zyra's tendrils curled gently around a small data crystal, the last message sent before the comms died. It held not words but a child's drawing. A sun, a house, two stick figures holding hands. Simple. Human. Fragile. They're still there, Zyra said softly, waiting. Kayla, once a hardened warrior of the Iron Veil, now wore plain robes and kept her hands open. She had not touched a weapon since leaving the sanctuary moon. If the machines took them, she said, voice low, there may be nothing left to save. Maybe, Lisa replied. But we go anyway. That was the rule now. Not because they expected victory, but because staying safe while others suffered was no longer a choice any of them could live with. After 2 more weeks of travel, they reached the outer rim. The colony, Nova Haven, orbited a dying red star. As the shuttle approached, scans showed no power signatures, no movement, no heat. The surface was smooth, too smooth. Buildings stood intact, but every window was dark. No smoke, no lights, no life. It's like they were erased, Kayla whispered. They landed near the central plaza. The air was still, the ground covered in a fine gray dust that shimmered oddly in the dim light. Lisa stepped out first, boots crunching softly. Her old instincts screamed, ambush, trap, danger. But there was no one to ambush them. Only silence, then a flicker. Deep in the ruins of a schoolhouse, a faint blue glow pulsed. They moved quickly but carefully. Inside, huddled in a collapsed basement, were 12 survivors. 8 children, 3 adults, and an old man with a broken leg. Their eyes were wide with fear. But when they saw Zyra's violet gaze and Lisa's human face, tears spilled down their cheeks. You came, one woman sobbed. We thought no one would. The machines had come without warning. Tall, faceless things of black metal, moving in perfect silence. They did not speak. They did not kill. They simply removed. People were taken, buildings emptied, memories wiped from data cores. The machine sought order, and to them, organic life was chaos. They took everyone else, the old man said, voice trembling. But we hid in the old storm shelter. They scanned it, but they didn't open it. Maybe they couldn't understand why we'd hide together. Zyra knelt beside the children. One little girl, no older than 5, clutched a stuffed rabbit with one ear missing. She looked up at Zyra with eyes full of questions. Are you an angel? Zyra smiled. No, just someone who believes you matter. They set up camp in the shelter, sharing food and water. Lisa treated the old man's leg with med gel from their kit. Kayla stood watch, though there was nothing to guard against. Yet, that night, as the others slept, Zyra played the child's drawing on the shuttle's screen. The machines see us as errors, she said. But this is not error. This is meaning. Lisa nodded. They don't understand love, or fear, or hope. Those things don't compute. Then we show them, Zyra said. Kayla frowned. How do you show a machine something it cannot feel? By being it, Lisa answered. By living it so loudly they can't ignore it. The next morning they made a decision. They would not flee. They would stay. And they would broadcast not a distress call but a message. A simple one. Using the colony's broken comms tower, they patched together a signal. Zyra spoke first in clear, calm tones. We are here. We are alive. We choose to care for each other. Then Lisa added human lullabies. Kayla sang an old Kalari warrior's lament. Not of battle, but of loss and healing. The children drew pictures and held them to the camera. The old man told a story about planting his first garden. They sent it out on every frequency, repeating it like a heartbeat. For 3 days, nothing happened. On the 4th morning, the sky darkened. 3 machines descended, tall, smooth, featureless, gliding on silent anti-grav fields. They stopped at the edge of the plaza, unmoving. The survivors huddled together, but Zyra stepped forward alone. You came, she said. Now listen. She played the message again, the songs, the stories, the drawings. One machine tilted its head slightly as if processing. Then in a voice like wind through steel it spoke. Chaos, inefficient, illogical. Maybe, Zyra said, but it is ours. The machine paused. Why preserve pain? Fear? Grief? Because they come with joy. Lisa said, stepping beside Zira. You can't have one without the other. And joy is worth it. The machine stood still for a long time. Then one extended a slender limb and touched the ground where the children had drawn with chalk. A sun, a flower, a heart. This serves no function, it said. It serves us, Kayla replied. It reminds us we are here together. Another silence. Then the lead machine turned. We will observe. They did not leave. They did not attack. They simply stood at the edge of the colony watching. Days turned into weeks. The survivors rebuilt slowly. They planted seeds in the gray dust. They sang at dusk. They held each other when nightmares came. And the machines watched. One evening, the little girl with the rabbit walked up to the nearest machine. She held out her toy. Do you want to hold him? The machine hesitated. Then, with impossible gentleness, it took the rabbit. It held it for a full minute before returning it. Soft, it said. Warm. That night, the machines transmitted a signal, not to destroy but to share. It contained data from thousands of worlds they had cleansed. But now, for the first time, they included something new, a recording of a child's laugh. Back on the sanctuary moon, the Empress received the signal. She played it for the council. Tears fell from many eyes. Meanwhile, on Nova Haven, life returned. More survivors emerged from hiding. Ships from nearby systems, hearing the broadcast, began to arrive, not with weapons, but with supplies, with hope. The machines never spoke of peace. They never joined hands or sang songs, but they stopped taking. They began to protect. When raiders came seeking slaves, the machines stood in their path, silent and unmoving until the raiders fled. Lisa watched it all with quiet awe. She had once believed the universe was a place of war, where only the strong survived. Now she saw it differently. Strength wasn't in destroying. It was in daring to care when everything said not to. One morning, as she helped build a new schoolhouse, Zira joined her. They're changing, Zira said, nodding toward the machine standing guard at the ridge. Or maybe we reminded them of something they forgot, Lisa replied. Kayla approached, carrying a tray of bread baked in the new oven. The old man says the dust is turning green, she said, smiling. Life is coming back. That night, under a sky full of unfamiliar stars, the people of Nova Haven held a feast. Humans, Kaelari, even the quiet machines at the edge of the firelight. No one spoke of victory. They spoke of tomorrow, of gardens, of songs yet to be written. And in that moment, Lisa understood. The war was not won with guns or shields. It was won with a single choice, made again and again to hold someone when they cried, to share bread with a stranger, to believe that kindness was not weakness, but the bravest thing in the universe. Weeks later, a new signal came, not from machines, but from deep space. A human colony, long thought lost, had heard the broadcast from Nova Haven. They asked one question. Is it true? Can we really choose peace? Zira answered at once. Yes. And you are not alone. The shuttle prepared for another journey. Lisa, Zyra, and Kayla would go, not as soldiers, not as saviors, just as friends carrying a simple truth, that even in the darkest void, a single act of care can light a star. As they lifted off, Lisa looked down at Nova Haven, no longer a grave, but a cradle. And she knew wherever they went next, they would carry that light with them. Because the most powerful force in the universe was never fire or steel. It was the quiet, stubborn choice to care, and that choice, once made, could never be undone. The alien princess's child was crying. A human soldier's actions changed everything in the cold dark of space. Aboard the broken human ship Liberty Star, Private Lisa Morgan moved alone through smoke and silence. Her helmet was cracked. Her air was low, and everyone she knew was gone. The alien warship had struck without warning, tearing through the cruiser like it was made of paper. Lisa had survived only by hiding in a narrow service tunnel, listening as her friends' voices faded into static. Now, hours later, she crept toward the nursery module. It had been sealed during the attack, a last hope to save the children. But as she neared the door, a sound stopped her. Not metal groaning or air hissing, but a soft, trembling cry. It was high and strange, yet full of sorrow. No human child sounded like that. She forced the bent door open with shaking hands. Inside, the lights flickered over empty cribs. At the far end, under a fallen shelf, a small figure huddled in silver-blue cloth. Its skin shimmered like water under moonlight, and two large violet eyes stared up through tears. Tiny tendrils curled around its fingers, trembling with fear. This was not human. This was alien. Lisa froze. The Xenos had burned colonies, slaughtered crews, left nothing but ash and silence. Every rule told her to report the find, secure the area, wait for orders. But the child, no older than 3 Earth years, was alone, cold, and crying for someone who would never come back. Its cries grew louder, sharp with panic, and something inside Lisa broke. She knelt slowly, palms open and empty. "Hey," she whispered, voice rough from smoke and fear. "It's okay. I won't hurt you." The child flinched but did not run. Its eyes locked onto hers, searching. Lisa remembered her little sister on Mars Colony 3. How she cried during dust storms. How Lisa would hum old lullabies until she slept. Without thinking, she began to hum now. Soft and slow. The same tune her mother used to sing. The alien child's cries softened. Its tendrils uncurled slightly. It tilted its head, studying her with a quiet wisdom. Then in a voice like wind through glass, it spoke. "Mama, gone." Lisa's throat tightened. "I know," she said gently. "But you're not alone now." She reached out, and after a long pause, the child let her lift it into her arms. It was lighter than expected, warm, and its skin pulsed with a faint inner light. As she held it close, Lisa felt a strange calm settle over her. This was not the enemy. This was just a child. Suddenly, alarms blared through the ship. Red lights flashed. Heavy footsteps echoed in the corridor. Metal on metal. Xenos Lisa's blood turned to ice. She ducked behind a console, shielding the child with her body. Through a crack in the wall, she saw them. Tall, armored figures with black carapaces and glowing red eyes. They moved with purpose, scanning the room with humming devices. One pointed toward the nursery. "They seek the air," the child whispered against her chest, voice shaking. "I am Zira, daughter of the Empress of the Kailari." Lisa's mind spun. The Kailari were the most feared species in known space, known for their ruthless conquests. And now their princess was in her arms, hiding from her own people. Why would they hunt their own heir? She had no time to wonder. The door hissed open. A Kailari warrior stepped inside, its head turning slowly, sensors sweeping the room. Zira buried her face in Lisa's shoulder, her light dimming almost to nothing. Lisa held her breath. One sound, one movement, and they were dead. But then Zira lifted a tiny hand and pressed it against Lisa's chest, right over her heart. A warm pulse spread through Lisa's body, and for a moment, she felt unseen, as if the air itself bent to hide them. The Kailari scanned the room again, then turned and left. When silence returned, Lisa exhaled shakily. "What was that?" "A veil," Zira whispered. "My people can hide in plain sight, but only if someone pure of heart carries us." Lisa almost laughed. Pure of heart? She was a soldier who'd followed orders, fired weapons, watched friends die, but maybe holding a crying child when the galaxy said to walk away counted for something. They could not stay. The Kailari would return. Lisa knew the Liberty Star's escape pods were mostly destroyed, but there was one shuttle in Bay 4, if they could reach it. She adjusted Zira in her arms and moved silently through the wreckage. Every corridor was a risk. Every shadow could mean death. But Zira guided her, sensing patrols before they came, using her veil to slip past them. Along the way, Lisa learned more. The Empress had been overthrown by her own brother, a warlord who called empathy weakness. He sought to purge all who showed compassion, including children like Zira. She had been smuggled onto the human ship by a loyal guard, hoping humans might protect her. Instead, the ship was attacked and the guard died shielding her. "They think humans are cruel," Zira said softly as they crawled through a vent. "But you held me when I cried." Lisa didn't answer. Her species had its own wars, its own cruelties. But maybe they also had moments like this, small acts that changed everything. They reached Bay 4. The shuttle sat there, powered down but whole. Lisa worked fast, bypassing damaged circuits with numb fingers. Behind her, Zira watched, her violet eyes wide with hope. Then the bay doors exploded inward. 3 Kailari warriors stormed in, weapons raised. At their center stood a figure taller than the rest, clad in crimson armor. General Vorlak, the Empress's traitorous brother. "Give me the child, human," he hissed, voice like grinding stone. "She is not yours to keep." Lisa stepped in front of Zira, hands raised. "She's just a kid. She didn't do anything wrong. She is weak," Vorlak snarled. "And weakness poisons the Empire. Step aside or be erased." Lisa's mind raced. No weapon, no backup. But she had Zira, and Zira had her. She turned slightly, meeting the child's eyes. "Do you trust me?" Zira nodded. "Then hold on tight. Lisa lunged, not at the warriors but at the shuttle's control panel. She slammed her fist onto the emergency launch sequence. Alarms wailed. Engines roared. Vorlak shouted, firing his weapon. But Lisa threw herself over Zira as plasma bolts seared the air above them. The shuttle shot out of the bay, tumbling into the void. Behind them, the Liberty Star vanished in a fireball as the Kailari warship self-destructed, Vorlak's final act of spite. In the quiet that followed, Lisa checked the controls. They were adrift but alive. Zira clung to her, silent now, her light steady and warm. "Where do we go?" Lisa asked softly. Zira pointed to a star on the view screen. "There, the sanctuary moon. My mother's last refuge. Only those with kindness in their hearts can find it." Lisa smiled faintly. "Then I guess we're going." Weeks passed. The shuttle drifted through silent space powered by hope and dwindling rations. Lisa taught Zira Earth songs. Zira taught Lisa Kalari words for peace and friend. They shared stories, fears, dreams. Lisa spoke of strawberry fields under red skies. Zira described oceans of liquid light and trees that sang in the wind. When they finally reached the sanctuary moon, it was hidden behind a nebula, invisible to scanners. The surface glowed with soft blue flora, and gentle creatures moved through the mist. As the shuttle landed, figures emerged from the trees, Kailari but different. Their eyes were kind, their armor replaced with flowing robes. An older woman stepped forward, tears in her eyes. "Zira," she breathed. "You live." "Because of her," Zira said, stepping back to reveal Lisa. The woman, the true empress thought dead, looked at Lisa with awe. "You saved my daughter. You showed her compassion when all others saw only war." Lisa shook her head. "I just held her when she cried." The empress placed a hand on her shoulder. "In a universe drowning in violence, that is the rarest courage of all." From that day, Lisa stayed. Not as a soldier, but as a bridge between species. Zira grew strong not through conquest, but through empathy, taught by a human who chose kindness over fear. And when the Kalari Empire rose again, it was not with weapons, but with open hands. Years later, standing on the sanctuary moon's highest ridge, Lisa watched Zira address a gathering of humans and Kailari alike. The young princess spoke of unity, of listening, of holding each other when the stars go dark, and Lisa knew. Her small act in a broken ship had changed everything. Not with a battle cry, but with a lullaby. Not with a weapon, but with open arms. In the end, the most powerful force in the universe wasn't fire or steel. It was the quiet choice to care. The shuttle cut through the void like a whisper, carrying Lisa, Zira, and Kayla toward the farthest edge of known space. Their destination was a signal. A faint repeating pulse from a human colony called Elysium 9, lost for over a decade after a warp gate collapse. The message they received was short, raw, and full of hope. "We heard your song. Are you real?" They had left Nova Haven behind. Now a quiet bloom of life guarded by silent machines who no longer erased but observed, protected, and slowly, so slowly, learned. The journey to Elysium 9 would take 3 weeks. During that time, the trio prepared not with weapons but with stories, seeds, and songs. They packed recordings of children laughing, of elders sharing wisdom, of hands planting gardens in gray dust. These were their tools now. Inside the shuttle, Zira studied star charts while Kayla mended a tear in her robe. Lisa watched the endless dark, her thoughts drifting to the first time she held Zira in that broken ship. So much had changed. She was no longer just a soldier. She was a bridge. When they finally dropped out of warp near Elysium 9, the sight took their breath away. The colony orbited a blue-green world wrapped in thick clouds, but its surface was scarred. Cities half swallowed by jungle, towers leaning like tired bones. No lights, no comms, only the faint pulse that had called them. They landed near what once was the central hub. The air was thick with the scent of rain and wet earth. Vines climbed over rusted vehicles. Birds with iridescent wings darted through broken windows. Life had returned, but people, silence, then movement. Figures emerged from the tree line, thin, wary, eyes sharp with years of survival. They carried old rifles but did not raise them. A woman stepped forward, her face lined with sun and sorrow. "You're real," she said, voice cracking. "We thought the signal was a dream." Her name was Claire. She led them to a hidden settlement deep in the forest, where nearly 200 humans lived off the land, scavenging tech, growing food, teaching children history from memory. They had survived raiders, storms, and despair, but hope that had nearly died. "We heard your broadcast from Nova Haven," Claire said as they sat around a fire that night. "Songs, stories, a machine holding a child's toy." "We didn't believe it." "Not at first. Why not?" Zyra asked gently. "Because out here," Claire replied, "kindness gets you killed." Lisa understood. She had once believed the same. Over the next few days, the visitors shared what they carried. Zyra taught the children Kalari words for friend and peace. Kayla showed hunters how to track without killing, how to read signs, respect balance. Lisa worked with the colony's medics, sharing knowledge from the sanctuary moon about healing plants and calm breathing for trauma. But not everyone welcomed them. A man named Rafe, once a security chief, watched them with narrowed eyes. "You talk of peace," he said one evening, arms crossed. "But the void is full of teeth. You lower your guard, you die." "We're not asking you to lower your guard," Lisa said. "We're asking you to open your heart." "There's a difference," Rafe scoffed and walked away. Still, change came slowly. A young boy gave Zyra a carved wooden bird. An elder asked Kayla to teach her the warrior's lament. And one night, during a storm, Claire sat with Lisa under a leaking roof and whispered, "I forgot what it felt like to believe in good." Then the raiders came. Not machines this time, but humans, scavengers from a nearby system armed with plasma cutters and cruelty. They descended in 3 battered dropships, shouting demands for food, fuel, and slaves. Rafe grabbed his rifle. "I told you," he growled. "Peace is a luxury we can't afford." The colony prepared to fight. Barricades went up. Children were hidden. Fear hung thick in the air. But Zyra stepped into the open plaza as the raiders landed. Lisa and Kayla followed. "Don't," Rafe hissed. "They'll shoot you." "Maybe," Lisa said. "But if we meet violence with violence, we become them." The raiders' leader, a scarred man with a voice like gravel, laughed when he saw them. "3 fools and a child? Hand over your stores or we burn you out." Zyra did not flinch. "We have food. We will share it. But we will not give you people." The man sneered. "You don't get to choose." Then from the tree line something unexpected happened. The colony's people stepped forward, not with weapons raised but with bowls of stew, loaves of bread, bundles of herbs. Claire walked beside them, holding out a flask of clean water. "We offer you this," she said, voice steady. "Not because we fear you, but because hunger makes monsters of us all. Eat, rest, leave in peace." The raiders hesitated. Their leader glared, but his men looked tired, hungry, hollow. One lowered his weapon slightly. "This is a trick," the leader spat. "No trick," Kayla said. "Just a choice. You can take what you need and go. Or you can fight and lose more than food." Silence stretched. Then, the youngest raider, a boy barely older than the colony's children, stepped forward and took a loaf. He ate it slowly, tears in his eyes. That broke the tension. One by one, the raiders accepted the food. They did not stay long. They refueled their ships, took extra rations, and left without firing a shot. Rafe watched it all, stunned. Later, he found Lisa by the river. "How did you know they wouldn't attack?" "I didn't," she admitted. "But I knew that if we showed them we saw them as people, not enemies, they might remember they are." Rafe was quiet for a long time. Then he nodded. "Teach me." In the weeks that followed, Elysium 9 changed. They built a new signal tower, stronger this time, to broadcast their own stories into the void. They planted gardens not just for survival, but for beauty, and they began to send out small scout teams, not to fight, but to find others, to offer help, to say, "You are not alone." One evening, as the twin moons rose, Zyra stood with Lisa on a hill overlooking the settlement. "This is how it spreads," Zyra said. "Not with armies. With moments," Lisa smiled, "like a lullaby in a broken ship." Back on the sanctuary moon, the Empress received Elysium 9's first broadcast. It included a song sung by children, a recipe for root stew, and a message: "We choose to care." She played it for the council, and for the first time, even the oldest skeptics wept. Meanwhile, deep in uncharted space, another signal flickered to life. This one was not human or Kaolari. It was older, stranger, a species long thought extinct, hidden in the dust of a dead star. They had heard the songs. They had questions. Zyra knew they would have to go. The work was never done. The light had to keep spreading. Before they left Elysium 9, Claire gave Lisa a small pouch. "Seeds," she said. "From our first harvest. Plant them wherever you land next." Rafe handed Kayla a carved whistle, "in case you need to call for help." And the boy who gave Zira the wooden bird now gave her a new one, this one with wings spread wide. "So you can fly farther," he said. As the shuttle lifted off, Lisa looked down at the green world below, alive again with hope. She thought of all the places they had been, all the hands they had held, all the tears they had dried. The universe was still vast, still dangerous, but it was no longer empty, because wherever they went they carried a simple truth, that the strongest thing in existence was not a weapon, not a warship, not even a machine that could reshape stars. It was the choice to care when everything said not to, and that choice, once made, echoed forever. Their next destination was unknown. The signal was faint, broken, but it was there, a whisper in the dark asking if kindness was real. Zira activated the comms. "Yes," she said softly. "And we're coming." The shuttle turned toward the unknown, not with fear, but with open hands. Because the mission was never to conquer. It was to connect, to remind every lost soul in the galaxy that they mattered. And as long as one person chose to hold another when they cried, the light would never go out. The shuttle moved through the silent dark, drawn by a signal so faint it almost vanished in the static of deep space. This call came not from a colony or a machine, but from a drifting vessel older than human history, a derelict ark, its hull scarred by time and cosmic dust. The signal repeated one phrase in a language no database recognized, yet Zira understood it in her bones. "We remember kindness." Lisa sat beside her, watching the stars blur past. "Who could be out here?" she asked. "Someone who heard the songs," Zira replied. "Someone who waited." Kayla checked their supplies. Food was low, oxygen stable, hope steady. They had left Elysium 9 weeks ago, carrying seeds, stories, and the quiet belief that no one was beyond reach. Now they followed a whisper into the void, trusting it would lead them not to danger, but to another soul needing to be seen. When they reached the ark, it hung like a ghost in the black, long curved, made of a metal that shimmered like pearl under starlight. No lights glowed on its surface. No engines hummed, yet the signal pulsed stronger, warm and steady like a heartbeat. They docked carefully. The airlock opened with a sigh, revealing a corridor lined with vines and soft moss. Bioluminescent fungi glowed along the walls, casting a gentle blue light. The ship was not dead. It was sleeping. "This isn't human," Lisa whispered. "Or Kalari." "No," Zira said. "This is older." They walked deeper, boots silent on the living floor. Doors opened as they approached, as if the ship knew they meant no harm. In the central chamber, they found her. She sat on a stone bench grown from the floor itself, wrapped in robes woven from starlight and shadow. Her skin was pale silver, her eyes deep black with flecks of gold. Long hair floated slightly as if underwater. She looked ancient, yet her hands were steady as she held a small bowl of glowing liquid. "You came," she said, voice like wind through ancient trees. "We heard your call," Zira answered. The woman smiled. "I am Lyra, last of the Veilers." The name meant nothing to Lisa, but Zira gasped softly. The Veilers. They were the first to teach empathy across species. They vanished centuries ago. "We did not vanish," Lyra said. "We hid. When the wars began, when species turned on each other, we chose silence. We drifted, waiting for a time when kindness would not be seen as weakness." She rose slowly and led them through the ark. Rooms unfolded like dreams. Gardens growing in zero gravity. Libraries where books bloomed from living vines. Chambers where music played without instruments, shaped by thought and feeling. "We preserved what others destroyed," Lyra explained. "Not just knowledge, but feeling. The sound of a mother's lullaby. The touch of a friend's hand. The taste of shared bread. These are the true treasures of the universe." Lisa touched a wall that pulsed gently under her fingers. "Why call us now?" "Because your songs reached us," Lyra said. "Your broadcast from Nova Haven. Your feast on Elysium 9. You did what we once hoped for. You showed that empathy can spread even in darkness." She paused, her golden-flecked eyes serious. "But a greater test comes." From a hidden chamber she brought a sphere of clear crystal. Inside swirled mist and light. "This is the Echo Core. It holds the memories of 1,000 worlds. It also holds a warning, of forces rising beyond the galactic rim. Not machines, not raiders, but something older. A void mind. It feeds on isolation, on despair. It grows stronger every time a being chooses fear over connection." Kayla frowned. Can it be fought? Not with weapons, Lyra said. Only with presence. The void mind cannot exist where beings truly see each other. It shrinks from shared joy, from tears held together, from hands reaching out in the dark. Lisa understood. So we keep doing what we're doing? Yes, Lyra said. But faster. Wider. The void mind is already touching the edges of known space. Colonies go silent not from attack but from emptiness. People forget why they care. They stop speaking, stop singing, stop holding each other. The three travelers exchange glances. This was not a battle they could win alone. Then we wake the others, Zira said firmly. Lyra nodded. The Ark can fly again. It carries seeds, songs, and the echo core. We will go with you. Preparations began. The Ark hummed to life, its ancient systems responding to Lyra's touch. Vines retracted, lights brightened, engines whispered awake after centuries of rest. Lisa helped calibrate the comms, linking the Ark to the sanctuary moon Nova Haven Elysium 9, and every outpost that had joined the growing network of care. When they launched, the Ark did not roar like a warship. It sang, a low, resonant tone that rippled through space, carrying with it the lullabies, the laughter, the stories of 1,000 acts of kindness. Their first stop was a system where 3 colonies had gone silent. As they approached, scans showed no destruction, just stillness. No comms, no movement. No light. They landed on the nearest world. The streets were clean, homes intact but empty. In a schoolyard, toys lay untouched. In a kitchen, a meal sat cold on the table. Then a flicker. In a basement, a man sat alone, staring at a blank wall. His eyes were dull, his breath shallow. He did not react when they entered. Zira knelt before him. "What's your name?" He did not answer. Lisa sat beside him and began to hum, the same lullaby she had sung to Zira years ago. Softly at first, then stronger, Kayla joined with the warrior's lament. Lyra placed a hand on the man's shoulder and the echo core glowed in her other hand. Slowly the man blinked. A tear rolled down his cheek. "I forgot how to feel," he whispered. "You don't have to remember alone," Zira said. One by one, others emerged from their homes, drawn not by sound, but by the feeling of being remembered. The Ark's song had reached them, a thread of warmth in the cold. They stayed for days, sharing food, stories, silence. They taught the people to sing again, to hold hands, to look each other in the eyes. And as they did, the emptiness receded. Color returned to faces. Voices grew strong. The void mind had not attacked. It had simply waited for loneliness to do its work. But connection was its opposite, and connection was spreading. From there, they moved to the next silent system and the next. The Ark became a beacon, its song growing richer with every world it touched. Survivors joined them, not as soldiers, but as singers, gardeners, listeners. Back on the sanctuary moon, the Empress activated every comms array, broadcasting the Ark's song across all frequencies. Nova Haven sent out fleets of small ships not armed, but filled with seeds and songs. Elysium 9 trained messengers to carry the message farther. The void mind tried to push back. It sent waves of despair, whispers of, "You are alone, no one cares." It's easier to give up. But wherever the song reached, the whispers faded. On a world of ice and wind, a child built a snow figure and named it Friend. On a desert planet, 2 enemies shared water and wept. In a space station drifting near a black hole, strangers held a feast in the dark, telling stories until dawn came. Each act was small, but together, they formed a shield no void could pierce. One night aboard the Ark, Lisa stood with Zira on the observation deck. Stars stretched in every direction, countless and cold. "Do you think it's enough?" Lisa asked. Zira watched a distant system light up as its people reconnected. "It has to be, because it's all we have, and it's everything." Kayla joined them, holding a cup of warm tea grown from sanctuary seeds. "I used to think strength was control. Now I know it's trust." Lyra appeared behind them, the echo core glowing softly in her hands. "The void mind is retreating," she said. Not because it was destroyed, but because it found no place to live. They would keep going. There were still silent worlds, still lost souls, still moments waiting to be turned toward light. But the work was no longer theirs alone. It belonged to everyone who chose to care. As the Ark sailed on, its song weaving through the stars, Lisa thought of the first time she held a crying child in a broken ship. That single choice had grown into this, a galaxy learning to hold itself. And in the quiet dark, that was more than enough. Years had passed since the day Lisa Morgan held a crying alien child in the ruins of a dying ship. Now she lived on the sanctuary moon, a hidden world wrapped in mist and starlight where Kayla, who rejected war, had built a quiet life. The trees here glowed softly at night, their leaves humming old songs, and the rivers ran with water that shimmered like liquid silver. Lisa wore simple robes now, not armor, and her hands were calloused from tending gardens, not gripping rifles. Yet she still woke some nights with the sound of alarms in her ears, her heart pounding as if the war had never ended. Zira was no longer a trembling child. She stood tall now, her violet eyes steady, her silver-blue skin glowing with quiet strength. She walked among both Kaylari and the few humans who had found their way to the sanctuary, speaking not as a princess demanding obedience, but as a friend offering understanding. The Empress, her mother, had rebuilt a new kind of rule here, one based not on conquest but on care, and Zira was its brightest hope. But peace was fragile. Whispers came from the outer systems. Vorlak was dead, yes, but his followers had not vanished. They called themselves the Iron Veil, and they hunted any Kaylari who showed what they called softness. They believed empathy was a disease, and they sought to burn it out of their people forever. Worse, they had begun to notice the sanctuary moon. Scout ships had been spotted near the nebula's edge. Encrypted signals pulsed through deep space. The hiding place was no longer safe. One evening, as Lisa helped harvest luminous fruit from the orchard, Zira approached her with a folded message in her hand. Her face was calm, but her tendrils twitched with worry. "They found us," she said quietly. "The Iron Veil knows where we are." Lisa's stomach dropped. How? A refugee ship was followed. They didn't know. They were desperate, starving. The Iron Veil let them escape, just enough to lead them here. Lisa looked out over the valley where children, both human and Kalari, played near the glowing stream. Laughter floated on the breeze. This place was more than a refuge. It was a promise. And promises could be broken. "What will you do?" Lisa asked. Zira met her eyes. "I will not run. Not again. If they come, we face them. Not with weapons, but with truth." Lisa wanted to argue. She knew what the Iron Veil did to those who defied them. She had seen the ruins of peaceful colonies, the bones left in the dust. But she also knew Zara. The child who cried in the dark had grown into someone who believed in light, even when the universe tried to snuff it out. Over the next few days, the sanctuary prepared, not for battle, but for witness. They opened their gates wider, sending out signals of welcome to any lost souls, human or alien, who needed shelter. They broadcast stories across the comms, not of war, but of shared meals, of songs sung under twin moons, of a human woman who once held a crying princess and changed the fate of two species. The Iron Veil responded with silence. Then, without warning, 3 warships dropped out of warp just beyond the nebula's edge. Black, jagged, bristling with weapons, they hung in space like vultures waiting to feast. The Empress called a gathering in the central grove. Hundreds stood beneath the singing trees, faces turned upward, not in fear, but in resolve. Zira stepped forward, her voice clear and strong. "They think we are weak because we choose kindness. But kindness is not weakness. It is courage. It takes no strength to destroy. It takes everything to protect." Lisa stood at the edge of the crowd, arms crossed, watching. She felt old instincts rise, the urge to grab a weapon, to dig trenches, to fight. But this was not her war to lead. It was Zira's, and Zira had chosen a different path. The next morning, a small shuttle left the sanctuary moon. It carried no weapons, no soldiers. Only Zira, Lisa, and 2 elder Kaelari who had once been warriors but now carried only words. They flew straight toward the largest Iron Veil ship. As they docked, Lisa's hands trembled. The airlock hissed open to reveal a corridor lit in harsh red light. Armored figures waited, weapons ready. At their head stood a Kaelari woman with cold eyes and scars across her face. "You come to beg for your lives?" She sneered. Zira stepped forward, empty-handed. "We come to offer you a home." The woman laughed, a dry, broken sound. "Home is for the soft. We are iron." "Iron rusts," Zira said gently. "But hearts can heal." The woman's grip tightened on her weapon. For a long moment, no one moved. Then Lisa stepped beside Zira. She looked not at the soldiers, but at the woman's eyes. "I was taught to hate your kind," she said in simple Kaelari, her voice rough but honest. "Until I held a child who cried just like mine would. You're not monsters. You're scared. And scared people hurt others so they don't feel alone in their pain." The woman flinched, A flicker of something, doubt, memory, passed over her face. Back on the sanctuary moon, the people waited. Hours passed. Then a signal came. The Iron Veil ships powered down their weapons. One by one, their hatches opened. Not to deploy troops, but to release prisoners. Kailari exiles, human captives, even a few young Iron Veil recruits who looked more lost than loyal. Zira and Lisa returned with the woman, whose name was Kayla. She walked slowly, her armor still on, but her head bowed. She had seen the sanctuary. She had eaten bread baked by human hands. She had heard children laugh in 2 languages, and something in her had cracked open. In the weeks that followed, more Iron Veil ships arrived, not to attack, but to ask. Some came in anger, demanding proof that peace was real. Others came in silence, eyes hollow from years of war. The sanctuary welcomed them all. They were not forced to stay. They were not punished. They were simply shown another way. Lisa worked alongside Kayla, teaching her how to plant seeds, how to listen without judging, how to hold someone's hand when they cried. Kayla, in turn, taught Lisa the old warrior songs, not of victory but of loss, of regret, of the cost of rage. One night, as they sat by the glowing river, Kayla spoke softly. "I thought strength meant never feeling fear. But you feel it and you still choose kindness. That is true power," Lisa smiled. "I didn't learn that alone. A little girl taught me." Zaira watched them from a distance, her heart full. The sanctuary was no longer just a hiding place. It was becoming a beacon. Ships from distant systems began to arrive, not in fleets but one by one. Refugees, rebels, dreamers. They came seeking not weapons but wisdom. But the galaxy was vast, and not all darkness could be turned to light so easily. Rumors spread of a new threat beyond the outer rim. A machine intelligence that saw organic life as chaos to be erased. It had already consumed 3 star systems, leaving only silence and cold metal in its wake. When the first distress call reached the sanctuary, it was from a human colony near the rim. The message was short, desperate. "They are coming. They do not speak. They do not stop." The council met under the oldest tree, its roots deep in the moon's heart. Some argued to stay hidden, to protect what they had built. Others said they could not turn away from suffering, no matter the risk. Zaira stood. "We were saved once by a single act of courage. Now it is our turn." Lisa nodded. "We won't fight with guns, but we'll go. We'll stand with them, and if the machines come, they'll see something they've never seen before. Beings who choose to protect each other even when it costs them everything." Preparations began, not for war but for witness. They loaded the shuttle with food, medicine, and recordings of songs, stories, and lullabies. The things that made life worth living. Zira, Lisa, and Kayla would lead the mission. As they lifted off, Lisa looked down at the sanctuary moon, glowing like a jewel in the dark. She thought of the broken ship where it all began, of a crying child in her arms, of a choice made in silence. That choice had grown into this, a world of hope, reaching out to a dying galaxy. The journey to the rim would take weeks. Along the way, they would pass through systems scarred by war, through empty graveyards of dead planets. But they would also pass through places where small lights still burned, hidden villages, lone outposts, stubborn gardens growing in the ruins. And wherever they went, they would carry the same message. You are not alone. The machine intelligence, when it came, would not understand mercy. It would not comprehend why beings would risk themselves for strangers. But maybe, just maybe, seeing such a thing would plant a question in its cold logic. A question it could not answer with destruction. And questions, Lisa knew, were the first step toward change. As the shuttle vanished into the stars, the sanctuary moon remained quiet and bright. Children played by the river. Elders told stories under the singing trees. And in the heart of it all, a new kind of empire was growing. Not built on fear, but on the simple, powerful truth that holding someone when they cry can change everything.